Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. It was gorgeous here in northern Colorado. Got to spend quite a bit of time outside, hanging around with my cat posse. Finally, some of these little cats are starting to like me. They were just running around, skating away from me, doing their thing. Wouldn't let me grab them or pet them really or anything. But now they're starting to like me. So that's kind of exciting. What else is going on? My chickens were across the road this weekend. So I was herding chickens back constantly. I don't know what their deal is. We're going to have to be doing some work on that again. Get that all straightened out. So yeah, just a whole bunch of farm work here. And then, of course, we're getting ready for Baby Bird is coming home on Wednesday. So just starting to get ready for Christmas and all of that stuff. So I hope you had a great weekend. Lots of crazy. Is there ever a moment in the news? Is there ever a moment now, given the 24/7 news cycle, which feels like a changing story, like every minute of every day, really? That's not crazy anymore. Of course not. But, lots of crazy stuff going on. Sad report of Rob Reiner passing as well. We don't know, all the details are unfolding quickly, I guess, but wow, I obviously grew up watching Rob Reiner's creations and movies and whatnot. Was really kind of surprised about his political, just kind of that Trump derangement syndrome, I think, that he had. Was really surprised about that, as that unfolded. And it's just weird now to think that he's gone. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's an unfolding story. I guess we'll learn more about. Don't want to comment too much on that because I have a feeling it'll change here and there, But what a crazy thing. What a crazy thing. But I did get a chance over the weekend to plug into some podcasts and, I guess X is just the algorithms changed even more so to, stay focused on the Charlie Kirk thing, Turning Point versus Candace Owens, and a whole lot of Candace hate going on. So that continues to drive people's attention for sure. But I did get a chance to kind of tune into a couple different podcasts. I went for a really good run on Saturday, and it was a long one, so I had a chance to plug into a full podcast. And I grabbed a really great couple of moments that I wanted to share with you today. I was like, yes, this is exactly it. Don't you find it's weird sometimes when, you kind of have a revelation about the way you're thinking about things and, you're like, oh, I'm just changing on that, and then you hear it in like the public sphere or somebody else on a podcast is saying the exact same thing. And then you hear it again and then you hear it again. It's like, all the people that are kind of like called to understanding what's true and what's real and what is reality, we seem to come to the same kind of revelations at the same time or around the same time. And that's what I felt when I heard this clip from Tucker Carlson on Theo Von. Take a listen.
Like if you look at some of this stuff too much, it can get pretty negative.
I'm out of the well. I'm totally out of the well. I'm above the clouds and it's always sunny there. It's like I feel so much better because I just concluded that everything you suspect is true. It's always been true. It was true in Rome. It was true in every period in history, and it's true now. And the only thing that's changed is we lied to ourselves about it. But now once you realize, yeah, it's all true. I don't need any more evidence. I got it. I figured it out. And the good things in life are still amazing, and you can make a difference by telling the truth. And when you do, you become stronger in some supernatural way. And there's just so much beauty and joy in life. I'm not going to get bogged down in all the hatred. I'm not going to take orders from Mark Levin and become a Nazi just because he calls me one. No. Sorry. I'm not playing your games.
I love this because I think I'm at this exact same point now. And I've said here before, on the show, like when I first started the podcast in 2019, it really was just to disseminate information that there was real solutions for health. I was on to pharma from years and years and years ago. I was on to pharma, and I understood how to, cultivate health through lifestyle. And so I was on to pharma then, but I just wanted to spread the word, that, hey, maybe you could do something else instead of just taking pills and, butchering your body up to try to achieve health. That was my intention when I started the podcast. And then, of course, COVID hit. And I had to take on what I knew was true. I had to. I couldn't sit there and be quiet. I looked at the evidence. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where this is going, right? So, my work was shaped by the events that were going on in the world. And I'm not one that can ignore the obvious. And I don't have a very good filter. I kind of say what I think. And so I've been doing that this whole time. And there was a point where I really felt like, oh, we got to fight this This is the transhuman agenda. This is the digital ID. This is enslavement. We got to fight. We got to convince everybody to stop what they're doing and like realize and awaken to what is happening. I felt some sort of personal responsibility in doing that. And then I kind of came to the conclusion that, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. And I can ruin my experience through this life, trying to fight against everything, or I can become an observer and I can do what I know is right and I can model what I want to see more of, but I can't let it ruin my life. I can't continue. I can't be a fighter and a brawler and take on everything and fight against when I really have no control over these massively powerful people and these massively powerful entities. I have no control. They could squash me like a bug, right? And what good does that really achieve? You know, what would it really achieve if I just get, flicked away like a little bug? I want to experience my life. I want to bring goodness into the world. I want to try to help comfort people through this process. I want to help enlighten other people and help brighten their experience and have them understand that we do curate our own experience through this life. And so I get what he's saying there. I'm above it. Right? I'm looking down on it as an observer, and I don't need any more evidence. I know they're liars. I know how the world works. I know everything is a racket. I mean, that sounds like a black pillar type of thing to say, but it's true. I don't need any more evidence. I know there are cults. I know there is evil. I know that, when people become worth hundreds of millions of dollars and billions of dollars, that there is a racket to it. I understand it. I understand people sell out. I understand politicians are sellouts. I understand it all. I don't need any more evidence. I just need to focus on spreading light in a dark world. And it's not that I, don't want to do anything to change that, but I think our approach has to be just bringing more light. And when I say bringing more light, I mean like doing the right thing, right? Being purposeful to try to add to humanity. Try to comfort, like I said, other people. Try to help when you can, Just be a good person. Just be a good person, and connect to other people authentically. We are in a crisis of fakeness, where everybody's trying to portray a persona of who they want people to perceive them to be. And whether they are that or not, I don't know. But, just look at Instagram, right? Like, I don't know. My house don't look that clean. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, I'm doing better. I'm doing a lot better lately. But I don't have the perfectly, sparkling white kitchen with all the, doodads and high end and, Ralph Lauren and Chanel. And I don't want any of that stuff. That to me is, I don't know. I'm not trying to, if you like that stuff, great, cool, have it. But to me, like, I'm a frugal girl. You're a sucker if you're buying that stuff. I'm like, you paid that for that? I got this purse for $20. That's kind of how I am. I don't really care, obviously, about labels and stuff like that. But, we're in a crisis of that. We're in a crisis of people projecting a persona, wanting to be perceived in a certain way, when really what they're trying to project doesn't even exist. And it does a lot of harm, especially to young people, because then they start buying into the fact that, oh, I need that. And that's the way my life should look. And, and it's not real, people. It's not real. And so I think that's really the focus here. What Tucker is saying is that you can call me all the names you want. You're not going to drag me into your darkness. And I concur. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Just wanted you to know you can still get my favorite collagen. It's buy one, get one right now. Scoop it up. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's the Immune Formula, and you can get it at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Scroll down just a little bit. Click on the collagen graphic. It's the Immune Collagen. And put it in your cart 1 bottle at a time. 1, then 2. It'll take the second one off. Don't buy the 2-pack. Because it doesn't take it off. So put 1 bottle in and then add a second bottle to get your buy one, get one free liquid BioCell collagen, naturallyinspiredstore.com. I don't want to ignore the obvious. Everybody's, it's probably the biggest story, right, going on, the Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, turning point stuff. Undoubtedly, it's like the biggest story, right? I don't want to ignore it. I want to avoid it. I know a lot of people are not talking about it because they either are talking about it and they've really profoundly taken a side, or they're not talking about it at all because they don't really know what to say. I just want you to know I'm not talking about it. I'm following Candace. I've watched all her stuff. I'm following the Turning Point stuff. I don't know that I have anything to add to it at this point, but I'm praying for Candace. I think she's sincere. That's my opinion. I think she's sincere. And I don't know where it's going, but she has a very reasonable list of questions. And I'm hoping that this talk, I guess, that her and Erica are going to sit down and have today will be fruitful, and that it will bring some answers and some closure. So that's where I stand on it. I'm not ignoring it. I just, I don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of questions. And I do know that we have every reason in the world to not trust the official narrative that these 3-letter agencies give us. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't need any more evidence that things are corrupt and that there are conspiracies that go on. I don't need any more evidence. So I'm praying for Candace, and I do think she's sincere. So it'll be interesting to see how things unfold. My concern, I got a lot of concerns around it, but I don't know that any of my concerns, me telling you my concerns, is going to help, in any positive way. But I am concerned that one of the things from this whole thing of Candace Owens asking questions is more censorship. I am concerned about that. Like that, anybody who says anything against the official narrative because they may taint the jury pool may get taken off of YouTube, and this will be used as an excuse. The other thing that I think is going to be used as an excuse to censor that could be is anti-Semitic stuff. Right? They're going to use that as a reason to censor more people. That's a real legit concern. And when people start getting kicked off of YouTube again, who cares that I got kicked off YouTube, right? Who cares if the little people get kicked off YouTube? Well, I do, but nobody seems to care. But when these bigger people get kicked off of YouTube, all that's going to do is going to create a ripple effect where podcasters and content creators will become more self-censoring, because that's what it did before. You saw it. I saw it. Unalive. Like the quack scene. Like I can't do that. Like all these people trying to play policed by the algorithm. And then people defending it. Like, just say the word. You see, the problem was that too many people were playing the game. Unalived. I'm not going to say dead on YouTube because then I get blocked. So I'm going to say unalived. I'm not going to say vaccine on YouTube because then I get kicked off. So I'm going to say quackscene or the jab. I don't play games like that because the only reason the algorithm has power is because people were playing the game. Stop playing the game. Stop playing the game. The minute everybody goes, I don't care, kick us all off, It's very easy to target a handful of people, but it's much harder to target millions of people, right? But we just couldn't seem to get that concept down. We just couldn't seem to get that concept down. And so I'm concerned that this is going to happen again, because it is the same playbook as COVID in terms of what they're doing to Candace, trying to build up the hate. Oh, you can't say this. In COVID, it was, you can't do that because you're going to kill grandma. And now it's, you can't question her because she's a grieving widow. You can't do that because he died. Right? Like the weaponization of emotions, right? Like there's a different playbook all the time. It's the same playbook, but different, like hypocritical viewpoints all the time. Like you can't say that when it's for me, but you can say it over here. Like only when it serves their agenda are you allowed to do that, right? So I am concerned that is what's going to happen. That we're going to see a lot more censorship from this, because we have like people like Nick Fuentes, we have people like Tucker Carlson under fire, Candace Owens under fire, Jimmy Dore has been quite outspoken. So we have this kind of team of podcasters that are sticking to more of their own investigative, common sense and discernment, trying to get to answers. And I'm concerned that is going to lead to more censorship. We got a lot going on here. And it's interesting to me that Matt Walsh and Tucker, also another podcast that I happened to pop in on this weekend, sat down for a discussion. And a couple things that they were talking about that I found very relevant is, why podcasters and people who, talk about what's going on in the world kind of gravitate towards all the same stories. And they don't really talk about what we are experiencing. like what you and I are experiencing on a daily basis. So I got a couple clips here. So let's go to this one. This is Matt Walsh and Tucker. Take a listen.
While political pundits and podcast hosts, speaking of things that are getting worse, focus on anything and everything except these practical, real-life problems that actually affect our quality of life. So I have like 8 questions there. And I'm going to ask you about your core observation. Is it getting worse? Clearly it is. Why are podcast hosts and pundits ignoring this physical reality?
I don't know. I think that it's a wide group of people. I think they have different motivations. I think there's the most obvious answer is that for a lot of these people, pundits, podcast hosts, cable news, all the media in general, a lot of them I think are insulated from a lot of this stuff. They don't live in this world.
Yeah, that's right.
And things like, so for example, we're talking about things that are getting worse. One thing, and it seems small, but it's not. One thing that's really getting worse is restaurant food. Okay, the food at most restaurants. I'm talking about like chain restaurants. You go to Applebee's or Chili's or whatever. You order a pizza from one of these places, especially one of these chain places, and the food is worse. And that's not just, again, it's not old man. I am an old man yelling at clouds.
Right? Like that's what I've been saying here. These are the things that are making up our lives. Like these experiences that we live through on a daily basis. That is the contents of our life. And yet when we turn to the news and we turn to podcasts and we turn to these topics that they want us so focused on, these are topics that don't actually shape our experience every day. This is, in large part, the stuff they're talking about, we have absolutely no control over. Politics, right? When you really understand how politics works, like it's a total gangster type of situation, right? There's exploitation, there's blackmail, there's Lord knows what these people are doing behind the scenes, It's not exactly our world. Our world, though, is noticeably declining, right? Like the quality of things are definitely going down. I notice it. You notice it. I've talked about it on here a million times, right? Your experience with customer service, your experience in the airport, right? When was the last time you encountered a pleasant stewardess on a flight? I mean, my poor daughter and her little friends are literally scared to fly because they're afraid of the attendants. The stewardesses or stewards, whatever you call them now. They're afraid of them. Don't look at them. Don't look at them because if you look at them wrong, you might get kicked off the plane. It's not exactly pleasant out there, is it? Listen to the second part here before we go to break. He makes a very valid point about restaurants.
It is true. It's a real thing that's happening, and you can trace it. You can look at, starting in the early 2000s, all these places started getting bought up by private equity companies.
Yeah. And
so now they're run by people who don't care about the product or even know anything about it. So that's happening. Also, it used to be that you go to these places and it's a bunch of like teenagers and college kids that are working there. And they're just working there to make some money to pay for college or whatever. And that's happening less now. And now you've got adults, an increasing number of like people with substance abuse problems, people who, they're in their late 20s and they're still, they're doing a job that a 16-year-old used to do because their life isn't working out exactly as it should. That's its own problems. Like, why is that happening, right? But the effect of that is that even a lot of the people, not all of them at all, but a lot of the people in the establishments that are working there on the ground don't really care that much about the product. And you can see why they don't care. They're getting paid crap wages. They've got a difficult life. They're working for people who don't care about it. Like, so the guy who runs this, if I'm working at Applebee's and I'm a waiter, and I'm looking at it like, okay, the guy who runs this place doesn't know anything about this. He doesn't care. I'm getting paid nothing. Why do I care? And so I don't care. And so that's happening. And then the quality of the food. It used to be that most of these places made their food fresh. Now no place makes fresh food anymore. They all buy frozen food. There are a couple of food distributors, Cisco is one of them, that the vast majority of the food that you eat at a Chili's or Applebee's or whatever is distributed.
He's so dead on about that. I want to get into that a little bit more when we get back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Did you know that you can pick a protocol to meet your needs at naturallyinspiredstore.com? Just head on over there. We've got little graphics set up to make it super easy for you to connect to real solutions for health. So if it's inflammation, if you'd like better hair, better skin, all kinds of different things, trying to make it as simple as possible for you to pick the protocol that fits you best. Go to naturallyinspiredstore.com today and connect to real solutions for health. So he's got such a valid point here. I mean, gosh, I remember taking the kids to like Chili's when they were really little, and it's not like it's a high class, high 4 Michelin stars type of establishment, but you could get a good meal that tasted somewhat fresh, but it hasn't been that way for a really long time. I haven't been there now for a very long time, precisely for that reason. I remember when we started to notice the decline in those chain restaurants, and we just stopped going there. And so what happened was, of course, private equity bought up a lot of these neighborhood grills that were, more small, operations. Although they were chains, they were still owned by maybe a smaller business. But, private equity came in, and now for restaurants to be successful, they've got to own like a whole bunch of them. And so it's all private equity that's buying up. Private equity is buying up our world, yours and mine. It's not buying up billionaire worlds, right? Like Matt in the Fuller clip, he discusses how like the really rich people, they don't even see this decline because they're going out for an $85 steak at a more of a independently run higher end restaurant, and their experience is professionals. It's a professional at the hostess stand in a restaurant like that where you get an $85 steak. It's a professional that is interested in hospitality when you go into establishment like that. Somebody who's making a career out of, being in service. So you don't get the same experience at Chili's because these higher end restaurants are not owned by private equity like Chili's is. He goes on to explain, the reason why the food has declined is because it's all frozen food, and it's all coming from the same centralized food provider, operations like Cisco. You know, they're giving the same cheese to all the pizza places. They're giving the same steaks that are frozen to all the neighborhood grills. Like everybody's serving the same food under a different logo, but it's all owned by private equity. And it's all crap food. It's all terrible. It tastes like what I call cafeteria food, right? Which has been sitting in a trough all day under a steam table and tastes like it's, days old. But yet we're putting up with it. And that's where I think we need to reclaim American culture. And that's why I've been talking about that so much, because the quality of things is a reflection of what we are tolerating. If everybody stopped going to these neighborhood grills because the food was crap, well, then these neighborhood grills would cease to exist. If people patronized, independently owned establishments because the quality was better and it was worthy, the service was better. Because I know he talks about how a lot of these podcasters and stuff, they're not living in the same world. Well, yeah, because they're making millions. Like, why do you think Tim Pool's freaking out right now? Right? Because he's about to lose his endorsement deals. He's losing money. They're making a ton of money. They're not patronizing Walmart. We are, right? Like we are. We're out there and we're looking around Walmart going, what the heck is going on here, right? Walmart's different now. It sure is. The landscape is a-changing. Everything's under lock and key, right? Which is weird. You stand around for half an hour to get a lipstick out of the makeup case now. Like that's new, right? So we're living in an increasingly surveillance type of environment, which just feels gross. Nobody wants to feel like they're in prison all the time. And that's a reflection of what we are tolerating. Now, I'm not saying that how did we get here to this point where, we put up with slop from these restaurant chains. We put up with crappy service from airlines. We put up with all this stuff because for some, it's been a slow progression, okay? But we've been trained to accept this low level of quality, whether we want to admit it consciously. I think it's more subconsciously that we don't deserve better. We don't deserve better. You get that wherever you go type of attitude. Well, maybe because there has been a hate campaign on Americans in general, right? Like, oh, you're just you're an American and, you're a racist and you're a misogynist and, you're toxic and, you're white. God forbid you're white, right? So you're a bad person. You have white privilege. You don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve better. I think subconsciously that's what's happened because you walk into these places and you think, man, I'm paying to be here. I'm paying for you to treat me like crap. I'm paying for this, this meal that's overpriced for what it is. It's not even hot. You don't dare complain about it though. Because what will they do? It used to be, that people took pride in their work. And now, I'm just like Matt says, I'm an old man yelling at the clouds or whatever. It's not that. Yes, I'm definitely getting older. We all are. But it's not this grumpy old lady thing. There is a serious problem with quality and pride in our work. Recently we had to take a vehicle in to get fixed, and the mechanic's the third mechanic that we have gone to that has essentially ripped us off. Because every time we go, we get it home for a couple of days. Oh, something else is wrong. And whatever was supposed to be fixed didn't actually get fixed. Like, what's going on out there? You don't dare take it back because it's not worth it. It's not worth the argument with the people because people are like, yeah, who cares? I mean, this is what we're living in. I cannot be the only one having this experience. Clearly, Matt Walsh is talking about it on Tucker Carlson. Things are degrading. And if we want to change this, we have to start, like I always say, you teach people how to treat you. Whether you think you are or not, you do. What you tolerate is what you get. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be, unreasonable. But we do have to reclaim our culture. And our culture, as I've been talking about on here for weeks now, is one of reinvention, right? It's one of prosperity. It values freedom of choice. We respect your choices here. We don't tell people what to do here. Sure, we have laws and we have a way we do things here. But that has been eroded so much on purpose, okay? Because don't forget, we have a globalist agenda here. The ultimate goal is, no borders, right? We're all big. We're a global community now. That's the goal. Don't forget that, right? That is the ultimate goal with these globalists. They just want to, one world government, right? So what do you have to do in order to achieve a one world government? Well, you have to destroy countries' culture. And what is the most powerful country in the world? Yours. Your culture has been under attack for a long time. And the reason it has is because they need you to not feel like you have a culture in order for you to just blend in with everybody else. The thing is, you do have a culture. And you have every right to claim your culture. Your ancestors fought for it. War's ugly. I don't like war, but I can't do anything about it now, right? We came to this land. This land was conquered by Americans. You have a right to this land. You were born here. This is where you were born. You have a right to have a culture in your own country. But I'm telling you, if you're going to sit back and not claim it and accept slop and accept low quality things, you're going to get more of that. Because your private equity firms are coming in and they're buying everything up and they understand one language: dividends, returns, money. They could care less about your experience in your own country. Stay tuned. Your naturally inspired moment is up next. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448 That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Have you been thinking about getting healthier? You're just not really sure where to start, what to do? I've got a solution for you. Go to naturallyinspiredstore.com. If you're over the age of 25, you need collagen. So take advantage of the buy one, get one free deal. Click on the collagen, get it ordered. Okay. After you have it ordered, then you're going to want to schedule an appointment with me, a 30-minute free assessment. We'll sit down one-on-one, we'll go through some things, and we'll develop a program for you. Then you can get into the Naturally Inspired community. That means you can attend the Tuesday night weekly wellness workshops where we talk about a different health topic every single week. You will get priority access on my health text line. So if you have questions, not sure where to start, that's what that's for. I'm constantly talking to you back and forth. And I truly, really enjoy having a relationship with you as you go through your optimum health journey. So you get that and so much more just for becoming a customer of Naturally Inspired. So head on over there today. This is your answer. This is your answer. You've been thinking about it. We're coming up on 2026. Get started now. Start at naturallyinspiredstore.com. All right, let's go to our naturally inspired moment because, talking about what Tucker was talking about, he's like, I'm out of the well. I'm above it all. It's always, sunny up here. Well, that's easy to say, right? But it's a little harder to do. What's he talking about there? He's intentionally designing his own experience. And that's how I feel like I am doing now as well, because it's so dark, right? So much corruption. Everything's a racket. We see you. We see you, right? We see you, you little weasels. We see you. Your insider trading, your corruption, your business, the rules for us and different rules for you, right? We see it. We see it all. So if you focus on that, you're going to become very bitter. You're going to be very pissed off. So we have a choice. We know it's true. We know what they're doing. Right? We know what goes on in the world. We know how the world works. But that doesn't mean our experience through life has to be dark and bitter. We can intentionally design our experience and how we want to experience, life day to day. How do you do that? You focus on the magical things in life. Today, I was out this morning and just looking at the mountains, just looking at them. And so many times I've been outside and been oblivious to the Front Range, the beautiful Front Range in northern Colorado, right? But just looking at them today, I was like, wow, it is quite incredible. And so really just paying attention and zeroing in on the beauty that's all around you and feeling truly grateful for it. That's how you curate your experience through life. So choose your inputs like they shape reality, because they do. So make sure you're being purposeful about what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're reading, how much you're scrolling, because that shapes your internal environment. So design your experience by limiting fear-based media and increasing inputs that strengthen clarity, courage, and hope. If you don't choose your inputs, someone else is choosing them for you. And they have an impact on your mood each and every day. Number 2, name the outcome before you enter the moment. So before you go into a meeting, before you have a conversation with someone, before you have a meal, before your day starts, set the intention. How do I want to feel after this? Right? What am I going to focus on through this? Whatever it is, meeting, conversation, meal, day. What do I want to feel? What am I going to notice? And, who am I going to be in this moment? We talk a lot about the transformation process, right? People think, oh, I'm just not the healthy type or whatever. Well, nobody is, right? Until you make it purposeful and you do the work on repeat over and over and over again. That's what transforms you into the person you need to be to have the healthy outcomes. So if you're working on that, if you're working on a specific outcome, who is that person that can hold that outcome and sustain it? Because that's who you need to step into every day. Who that person is, that version of you. Because your nervous system organizes around intention. And then you don't need willpower. I'm of the belief now that willpower ain't going to work. Willpower suggests you have to fight to be that. And I don't advise fighting against your body because that's nature. Your body is nature. And you ain't going to win. You're not going to win against your body that is programmed by God, by nature. So learn how to work with it, right? Give yourself some grace. Understand, I'm taking on this transformation process. I'm looking to get better results, and I understand that I'm going to have to transform the way I think. Because that's truly the transformation. A lot of people think, oh, it's my body that's going to transform. Yeah, your body will transform, but guess what has to transform first? Your mind, your thoughts, your thinking has to transform because that's the driver of your results. So it isn't willpower. It's about intentionally reprogramming your thoughts, catching yourself when you're like, oh, there I go again. Down the scroll hole, down the pit, right? And saying, no, I'm not going to do that because I have intention here. I'm going to think differently about this. Number 3, practice awareness without emotional attachment. This is a big one. So observe your problems, right? Observe darkness or conflict without letting it define your emotional state. So don't take it on. Yeah, it's dark. We know there's corruption. We know terrible things are going on, but it's out of our control. And so I'm not going to let it define my emotions today because that doesn't actually help, right? When someone says you're a Nazi, says you're a racist, says this, right? They're trying to get an emotional reaction from you, right? They need it. You know why? Because their intentions they're not good. They have bad intentions. And when they're setting bad energy towards you, if you engage in it, you're like locking on to the bad energy. And then together you're building more bad energy. So be an observer. It's not about rising above people and taking the higher road. I'm not saying that. I mean, I know a lot of people say that, but that's not the way I see it. I'm like, oh, dodged your bullet. Not today. Not doing it. Go ahead and have your thoughts, whatever you think. I'm not engaging with that. I reject your evil bullet, if you will. I'm not going to engage in it. So see it clearly. Don't internalize it and don't carry it. Number 4, anchor daily rituals that signal your direction. So the outcome you want. It is so important, you can do it once and then you're like, oh, that really didn't do anything for me. No, just push through and keep doing it. Okay. Things like morning light. Okay. This will ground you. If you have prayer practice, do it at the same time. Your movement, your breath work, gratitude. This is programming and conditioning your neural pathways in your, not only in your mind, but also in your body. And you're telling your body, I'm grounded, I'm not reacting, I'm leading the ship here. Consistency in small rituals design stability in chaotic environments. Number 5, end the day by reinforcing the story you want repeated. So what you review at night is what your subconscious strengthens. So ask, what did I handle well today? Where did I choose light over dark? What lesson am I carrying forward into tomorrow? You don't just experience life, you are training yourself how to experience it. So you can't control everything that happens to you. And I'm not saying try. I'm actually saying let go, right? Let go of the stuff that you can't control and try to shape your routine, right? Shape your routine and be purposeful and intentional with your thoughts and your actions, because that is how you will be able to design your experience on a daily basis, right? You can't control the circumstances, but you can control how you respond to them internally and externally. You can control that. You never know what's coming down the pipeline. Let me tell you, like, you don't. Right? You're like, oh my gosh, this happened, that happened, this, that, boom, 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 boom. And you'll find yourself being an emotional ping pong ball if you keep reacting to every circumstance that happens to you. Slow and steady wins the race, right? Choose light every day. Choose your goal and your desired outcome every day, because that is more important. Your health has to be priority. And if you're allowing yourself to be pulled off of course because of this story or that story, or you know, you're watching all the stuff that really doesn't pertain to your life, what are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of it? Distraction. Most of the time, it's distraction. You got to ask yourself, why would I rather be distracted than actually work on what I want, the outcomes that I want, the things that bring me joy, that bring me peace? Because many people would rather be entertained or distracted than actually get to work on their own experiences, their own desires. And you got to ask yourself why. We got to go back to, why don't we think we're worthy? What's happened in our culture that we now don't think that we are worthy of a quality experience, of, you know, meaningful exchanges in the public sphere? We're willing to pay a lot of money for some of these things, and the quality is unacceptable, but we're still doing it. The question is why? Why are we tolerating that? When we start to build ourselves back, build back American culture, claim it, have pride, and not feel shame or like we don't deserve, I think our culture will turn around. But that's our responsibility. You get what you tolerate. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. Stay tuned. I can't believe my first hour goes by so fast. I'll be right back in 1 minute. See you in a minute.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, Explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. NaturallyInspiredRadio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. Good morning. If you missed the first hour, you got to go back and listen to it because we've been talking about kind of like acknowledging the darkness that is going on in the world. I'm talking about the corruption, the racket, that everybody seems to have. I mean, gosh, every time I dive into something, you guys, I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, I've known this for a long time. But there was a certain amount of shock, I think, that you just can't believe it, And now I think I'm over that. I'm not really shocked anymore. I know what I know. And it is that. And I don't need any more convincing. I know what goes on in the world. I know how deals are done. I know. And so it's now, though, up to us how we want to live through this life we're living here, right? Are we going to curate an experience for ourselves that is peaceful, that is, full of light, and be models for the younger generation that are observing us, because if we give in to the darkness and become bitter and, nothing's going to work out, or we can't lose hope, because we have kids. We have kids here and they're coming up behind us. And I just like to tell my kids, don't worry about it. You'll carve your own way. God always makes a way, if you seek him. It just so happens that, something's carved out for you. I saw it a lot during COVID, especially. It was inexplainable. I don't know how some of us got away with what we got away with, it's just, I'm grateful. Not everybody did. And I am, of course, heartbroken for people that didn't get away with some of the things they wanted to, of course. But I think that we do have to be purposeful about trying to carve a life out for ourselves the way we want it. The way we want it. It doesn't mean we have to fight and go to battle and it has to be ugly and dark. We can just choose the light every day and curate an experience for ourselves and for our kids that is positive. So we've been talking about that. And, they're going to tell you you're a Nazi. They're going to tell you you're terrible. They're going to tell you, all the things they've been telling you. It's purposeful. And it's about the dismantling of the greatest country in the world. That's what it's been about. And once you understand that, you go, oh, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And so when we reclaim that higher quality of life that we want, that's what we have to do. We have to reclaim it. So there was another piece here I wanted to share with you for the American culture moment, because you do indeed have a culture. I know there's a lot of people out there that tell you don't. No, this isn't your land. You stole it. You're just a dirty colonist or what have you. No, you're not. Matt Walsh was talking about this on the Tucker podcast, and I pulled this clip because I thought he's absolutely right. I really think he's got something here. Take a listen to this.
There's a lot of anti-white sentiment, but also, so I use the example of Nigeria. Everyone recognizes that Nigerians, or black, are the native inhabitants of Nigeria. And so if the native inhabitants go away, we see that as a bad thing. The Amazonian horned owl is a native inhabitant of I don't think that exists. I'm just, whatever. But they're a native inhabitant of the Amazon, and so they should be there. With white people, it's this really interesting thing where what we're told is that white people are not native anywhere. We are not indigenous to anywhere, which is why, and I'm not making this up, there's nowhere in the world you can go where the people who are officially recognized as the indigenous habitants are white. Nowhere. White people do not.
How is that not genocidal intent?
Well, that's my point. So it's okay, so we're not indigenous to anywhere, so where are we supposed to be? Because the other part is...
We're supposed to be dead.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Because we're told that, okay, here are the indigenous habitants, and the what's implied every time we talk about indigenous people, or just outright said, is that, well, this land is really theirs, and so you shouldn't be here. And so what we're saying to white people everywhere is that you shouldn't be here. Well, where should we be? Do you want us to go to Mars? I mean, are we going to Jupiter? Where are we supposed to be? Or are you just going to throw us into the ocean? And I think the answer is that we really shouldn't be anywhere, which is why we should not be embarrassed or afraid to say that the Native Americans are white people of European descent. That is true. The people that we call Native Americans now are not Native Americans. And the reason they're not Native Americans is because they did not form a country called America.
They did not form America. And I think this is where we're getting tripped up with a lot of stuff and feeling like, oh, we are bad people. Oh, we are dirty colonists or whatever. Oh, we did. Because these people were the first Americans. These people were the Native Americans. No, they weren't actually. You're focused on a geographical plot of land. And unfortunately, the way countries were built is through conquering. I didn't design it. Don't get mad at me. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying a war took place and some people were conquered and America was established. You didn't do it. I didn't do it. None of the people that were involved in it are actually still alive. So to be a Native American is actually somebody who is white. So that kind of puts a different perspective on it, you know? And I think it actually facilitates a way better conversation around this topic, because we're not saying anything is bad with tribes, being a part of a tribe, like he talks about further in this podcast, the Comanche tribe, the Apache tribe, like the Cherokee tribe. Those were tribes, but they weren't Americans. They were on North America, right? They were on the continent, but the country itself was made up by white people. And the country today is America, right? We're all a part of America now. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. If you live here, if you came here legally, if you came into the contract of being a part of America, you are American. But there is a culture here. And I think that's where we're getting conflicted, is we're trying to adapt to everybody else's culture. And you know what it's doing? It's degrading our country. It's degrading our culture to the point where people don't even think we have one anymore. We're just a bunch of everybody else's culture because our skin is white and apparently we have no agency here because we're white. Where should we go? Where should we go? It's a very good point. If you look at the way he's talking about this, you start to understand how we're getting to the point now where everything is acceptable, right? No matter if the quality is crap, if somebody's yelling at us, if we're treated, like in a militant way at the airport, or like we have no agency here because you don't deserve to be here. They've been beating this drum now, telling us how we don't deserve to be here. You weren't here first. The Native Americans were. They've been beating this drum for so long that I do think it's had an effect on people. It's had an effect on people to the point where, well, you get that wherever you go. Well, you got to do this. It's this like lackadaisical attitude. Like you don't deserve a certain standard when you're paying for it, when you are just because of the color of your skin. I don't know how that isn't racist, There's a lot of people that are backing, what Israel is doing in Gaza. They're conquering that land. They're conquering that land. Whether you want to admit that or not, that's what's going on over there in 2025, 2026. That's what's happening. I think they have a whole plan to redevelop Gaza into a Mecca of sorts. You know, some of these elitists have plans to develop that area and turn it into a touristy type of place. So those people will be taken off their land. And that's exactly what happened when Americans came here and colonized, right? There was a war that ensued for the land. It isn't pretty, but it doesn't make it doesn't make white people in general all bad, right? Like we're all terrible people. We weren't even here. So I don't know how we get past this as a nation, but it's imperative that we do, because we have to restore our own respect for ourselves. Maybe it's the right word. Integrity for the country. We have to restore our own culture, or we're going to lose it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Go get yourself some buy one, get one free immune collagen. This is my very favoriteest collagen in the whole world. You know why? Because it's low molecular weight, which means it's highly absorbable. So all those other collagens that you get from the big box stores and whatnot, I don't know how much of that you're using. You know, I'm not picking on any other products, but I don't know how much of that your body's actually able to absorb and put to use. I do know that I have many, many stories and even clinically approved studies that back this low molecular weight collagen. Just a tablespoon in the morning, tablespoon in the evening. It's all you need to do to fill up your bucket to restore your level of collagen over time. This is my preferred collagen. So go get yourself some. It's buy one, get one free, which never happens. That's why I'm talking about it all the time. This never happens, and I don't know when they're going to sell out. So head on over there and get yourself some today. It's like a $77 savings. It's incredible. Incredible deal. So head on over there, naturallyinspiredstore.com. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are going to listen to the show and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe, But listen, we've got a real problem on our hands here when it comes to American culture, when it comes to where we're headed in the future with all of the challenges that we face with technology, the globalist agenda. Like, we need to be united as a country, and we have to unite on some foundational things. We can't be hating ourselves. And there's a lot of things reflective in our culture today, in the way we live today, that reflects that we're not loving ourselves. whether it's the crappy architecture or the crappy food, cheap food that doesn't nourish, the terrible healthcare, we're not really valuing what matters anymore. And so we can't have this self-hatred. We can't have it. We have to accept ourselves for who we are and claim our culture proudly. That doesn't mean we hate other people. It's just that you can't create great things when you hate yourself. And if you're not creating great things, if you're not doing your best, then you're sliding backwards. And how's that helping anything? It's not. We can't go back and change history. But we can stay focused on a positive future, a healthy future. And to do that, we can't be in self-hatred mode. I'm so over it. I am so over it. Where are white people supposed to go? We're just so terrible. Where are we supposed to go? I think when people take on that attitude more, that you have every right to be here, you're a human being, this is your earth, you were born here, I think we can reclaim it. And I hope more people hear what Matt Walsh had to say about that, because I think it's pretty profound. I want to get into some stories now. I want to talk about MS. This is a big story for me to talk about because it's a bigger topic, but this was just a great video that I wanted to share with you into a bigger topic. So watch this.
So are we going to the doctor at all anymore, or have we just decided that going to the doctor in general is a big scam and just we're stopping? I'm sorry, I'm hitting dates right now. Bear with me because I have a raging sweet tooth, but also I'm on an anti-inflammatory diet. So no sugar for this gal, but dates. Blend them up. Anyway, so I was diagnosed with MS June this year. And the neurologist, they couldn't get me in to see the neurologist for like 6 weeks, something like that. So in the meantime, I started an anti-inflammatory diet. Long story short, ended up in better shape than I was when I went into the hospital. So that worked out really well. So when I went to the neurologist, I told her, I think I'm just going to stick with the anti-inflammatory diet now for see how that goes. So she wanted me to have an MRI, a follow-up MRI. And she said, usually within 6 months, maybe in January. And I said, tell you what, I just hit my out of pocket. So how about we get me in for the MRI before the end of the year, right? So they did, and I spent freaking 90 minutes in the MRI machine, which really should be illegal at this point. I mean, I'm not claustrophobic by any means, but I might be now. Anyway, it wasn't one of those nice cushy places with like the music and the headphones and everything. I had like earplugs and a flat table, and I just was in that little tin coffin for 90 minutes, and it was awful. But they checked everything. They did with and without contrast, which then I had to come home and do detox smoothies because with contrast, it's terrible for you. Anyway, it's all clean. Not only, so the lesions in my brain, still there, stable, whatever. The lesion on my brainstem, same thing, old. The one that was on my spine, though, the one that sent me into the hospital, was gone. Like, completely gone.
I want to preface this with I'm not saying people, don't have disease, don't have pain. Okay. I know people are going to freak out because we get so attached to these diagnoses. They become part of people's identity. And what I'm telling you to consider, okay, is how much what you think about your diagnosis matters. If you hear anything that I'm saying today, hear that. What you think about your diagnosis, if it becomes your identity, it matters. Listen to the second part here.
Gone. So I'm like, awesome, loving this. So, and I haven't had any symptoms. I've been doing really well. And, if you want to start with the negativity of, what's she relapsing and blah, 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 save it. Take it somewhere else because I'm good. So I had to follow up with the neurologist yesterday. I drive an hour to her office and an hour home, of course. Sat in the waiting room for 15 minutes, which wasn't terrible. She comes in, though, all of this for about 90 seconds with the neurologist, about 90 seconds. And again, my out-of-pocket is paid, fortunately, because otherwise that would have been $50 and I would have been really livid. As it was a couple hours of my life that I'm not coming back. But I go in, and when she finally comes in, she says, she flips open my MRI and she says, oh, okay. So no new lesions, so that's great news on your spine. No new lesions is what she said. I was glad I got a copy of my MRI. She says the ones in your brainstem are stable, so you're good. She said, did you want to continue the diet or did you want to try? She wants me on Kesimpta. And I said, I think I'm going to stick with the diet. And she said, okay, well, I don't need to see you for 6 months then. And I'm like, okay. So my husband was there at the appointment with me. My husband says, what about the one on her spine? And she glances down. Now, I don't expect doctors to remember everything about every patient by any means, but that's why we have charts, right? She looks down. She goes, there isn't one on her spine. Like he doesn't know what's going on, right? And I interjected and I said, no, I know. The reason I ended up in the hospital was because I had a lesion on my spine. And she said, oh, do you remember where it was? Thoracic or lumbar? And I'm like, my other MRI report is right under there, but by all means, let me help you with that one. I said thoracic. It was between the T2 and T3. And she looks down at the MRI again. She goes, well, that's gone. So my husband says, gone? Is that unusual? And she goes, well, let me clarify. It's unusual, but it's not unheard of. I'll stick with the anti-inflammatory diet, thanks. And I don't think I'm keeping that appointment.
I say this all the time. You are the most qualified to lead the charge on your optimum health journey. I know that doesn't sit well with you. I know you want to, because you've been conditioned to think that these doctors, these people, they know more than you. They're smarter they don't even remember you. And I know that might hurt your feelings and, it might feel scary, especially if you have a diagnosis or whatever. But I'm telling you, you are capable. I'm telling you, you are the only one that is capable. You have to step into your power. You are in control. You have so much more control than you've ever been led to believe over what goes on in your body. You attach yourself to that diagnosis, you become that diagnosis, you let that become your identity, it will. You reject that diagnosis, you understand you don't have to control everything, that you aren't just a name, a label, a code for medical insurance. You're not a code for medical insurance, which is why we have diagnosis. A lot of the time. There's like 300 different symptoms for MS. There's also 300 different symptoms for anxiety. Your body's communicating with you. Absolutely, it's communicating with you. But you are in control. Accept the control. I have to tell you, every case that I have seen with MS, the people who have this diagnosis have control issues. You might not like me saying that. They are type A personality. They have had traumatic childhoods. They have not been heard. They have not been listened to. And they have control issues. Embrace that as a tool. This is your tool. Your emotions are tools. Again, I'm not saying you don't have issues. I'm not saying it's all in your head. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying your head is a tool for you to heal. You have all these tools within your body to help your body curate optimum health, to help your body heal. You don't use most of them because you give all your agency over to somebody else to do it for you when you are the most qualified to do it, the only one. It's kind of strange because we've become scared of stepping into our own power. And given the circumstances that we're living in right now, barreling towards AI, when I talk about these higher faculties for, being kind of like our superpower when we're going to be dealing with artificial intelligence and whatnot, I talk about the higher faculties. Like, this is it. This is our chance to step into this. And if you don't, because you're fearful, you let fear override, it's going to come out differently. Oh my gosh. I forgot to tell you that Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch is up next. We didn't even get to a lot of our topics today. That's okay. I promise I'll bring them to you tomorrow. We'll talk about gallbladder. We'll talk about what's going on with JBS, with Dean, and so much more. So stay tuned. Dean Lerwick with Pumpkin Creek Ranch coming up next. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back, everybody. Yesterday, we talked about regenerative farming. We talked about the new designation that's happening. And as promised, I told you I was going to bring Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek on so we can talk about this. I'm not sure if I like it or if I hate it. As I said, more government is never the answer. And so I want to check in with my trusted local rancher, Dean Lerwick. Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio. So glad you're here today. I don't know if you just heard me, but are you all up on this new designation of regenerative farming?
Well, I have paid at least a little bit of attention about it. I don't know any of the details, and like everything government, it is something that I'm not real crazy about.
I wondered.
I don't. Anytime you got them handing out money, whether it's this regenerative designation or even Trump's deal with all the tariff money, it's people are going to abuse it, and it's playing picking winners and losers, and that's what concerns me about this. I'm all for regenerative agriculture. How do you put together a program that works and that is applicable throughout the whole country? I was just at the Acres USA conference here in Madison the beginning of the month, and we had there were people from all over the country there. In fact, there were people from all over the world there. We heard people like Joel Salatin and Will Harris, Gabe Brown, all of the well-known names in the regenerative movement speak. Well, you got Will Harris in the southeast, Joel Salatin in the eastern seaboard, and Gabe Brown from North Dakota. How do you put together a program that fits for everybody?
Right. Geographically, everybody's dealing with different circumstances.
Absolutely. And we've got John Kempf spoke there, one of the sessions I was in, and he made the comment, we have to be kind of cautious about saying, well, you just get rid of all the chemicals and you prescribe a certain system, because what works in one place is not going to work in another. And the last several days has been a prime example of that. We've had horrific winds.
Yep.
We've got ground suffering from pretty severe erosion, and it was a result of one tillage pass in the spring. Happened in May, and we just watched that dirt blow off of those fields, and it's a pretty sick feeling. You can't do anything to stop it at this point. The only thing that will fix that is a living root. Well, we had sunflowers planted on that. We've got stalks standing, all of the traditional things that you'd say, well, that'll help protect the ground. But when you run off over some of this ground with a tillage tool, you're going to wreck your soil structure. And then we didn't have much moisture, and that just exacerbated the problem. And so that makes me really concerned about one size fits all.
Me too. And when I heard the announcement, I was like, okay, so who gets to define regenerative, right? So like, how do you define regenerative? Because somebody else defines it totally differently. And that's my concern, because we're all dealing geographically with different circumstances. How can you have a definition for regenerative? Not only that, they've ruined organic, the label organic, right? Because a lot of the regulation has changed, and lobbies have come in and paid for, different things, and you can't even really fully trust organic anymore.
No,
so I don't want that to happen to regenerative. I'm like, I just love the little regenerative community, and I'm really worried that that's just going to get blown to shreds with more bureaucracy.
Oh, I think that's a substantial risk. I do believe that we've got to be cautious about that. Prescriptive practices are going to be a problem. That's all there is to it. When you had organic, well, it was these certain things, and it'd be one thing if you said, okay, organic, the only thing we can test for is chemical residue. So let's say organic is just free of chemical residues. That would have been a fairly simple, fairly straightforward thing to do, but they prescribed or in their definitions of organic, they prescribe practices, and that becomes an issue then, because they don't fit all over the country. There are some areas that they will be very good for, and there's other areas that simply won't work.
Let's define the term regenerative, or, for our audience, because I know this might even be, a new term for people that, if you're living in cities and you haven't grown up, on near any farms or you may not even have heard the word regenerative. So let's give a broad definition to it for the people so they understand.
Well, a very broad definition, and we don't have a official government definition, and so everybody's kind of free to define it themselves. But broadly speaking, the focus of regenerative agriculture is to improve the soil year over year, make it more productive, more resilient, make it so that the rains, moisture that we get goes into the soil. You reduce dependence on chemistry and synthetic fertilizers so that the whole system is functioning more as an ecosystem. That's kind of the focus of regenerative. There's some people who've gotten together and set certain, what would you call them, guidelines. There's several principles that they've outlined. Again, it's mostly just people through discussions setting up some guidelines that will help to kind of identify the system, or identify, really the focus is the end result, generally speaking, in regeneration. And that focus is, let's make this soil more, improve the soil health. How you go about doing that is dependent upon the area you're in.
And couldn't it be just as simple as making sure that, you're adding to soil? Because regenerative really is all about soil. And we've got a real soil problem. The climate change, I talk about the climate change quite a bit on the show because I think it's a marketing campaign for the most part, right? We don't really have a climate change problem, but we do have environmental problems. And one of the environmental problems we have is our soil. It's been devastated over the years. So talk a little bit about, what you do to improve soil, why it's so important to improve soil, and how soil really is life, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you have to start off with, we are dealing across this country and for the most part across the rest of the world, we are dealing with a degraded resource. You have to start there. These soils developed under grazing, especially in the high plains. I'm speaking specifically about where we are living. The western high plains developed under a grazing regime. And we have taken that soil and we've uncovered it, which is not the way nature intends to keep it. We run tillage tools across it. We break down soil structure doing that. We impact the biological life in the soil. So the bacteria and the fungi that create the glues that hold the soil together. We do all those things. And for the most part, they were done out of ignorance. I'm not condemning the generations that came before. They didn't know. And so today we have a degraded resource. We can continue to add synthetics and chemistries, which was really intended just to deal with the degraded resource. And so we either cover up the problem through added fertility, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and some of the minor or the micronutrients. And then your soil becomes basically just a hydroponic system. We're just adding the things that we think we're taking off. The problem that develops is that you don't always completely understand the system you're working within. And there has been some studies showing that we have a reduction in the overall nutrient quality or quantity, in the foods that are being raised on these. So we can raise great big yields. Our yields, especially in corn and soybeans across the country, go up almost every year. Wheat does not do that quite as much. But then there's a question of what is the nutrient content of that food?
Well, and we see the impact on our health in just, the general public. We may not know that, but we certainly have results in terms of chronic disease and deficiency in the population. So it makes sense that this is a place we should be looking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you start recognizing that some of these production practices, maybe they aren't so good. But this is always a question, if you're going to go to regenerative and you're going to cut out the nutrient or the added fertility, you're going to start reducing your usage of fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, fungicides, all of these things. Well, we're going to have a reduction in production, and you probably will. But we're suffering from severe overproduction in grains right now. Markets are in the toilet because we've got too much grain. The only, animal proteins like beef, those numbers are low. And so that's propping up pricing, and that's getting a lot of the headlines. But the reality is we've got more grain than we really need at the present time. And so should we be looking at ways to increase our soil health and just accept that we're going to have lower yields? Right now, the market's telling us we got too much grain.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about, I know we're going to go to break here pretty soon, but I do want to start talking a little bit about how tariffs are impacting beef right now. Why are we seeing these headlines? Like, there was something I saw recently that there was legislation passed, and I should have looked it up, but where it's essentially going to price out the small farmer, the small rancher. So, big conglomerates like JBS are getting kind of a little bit more leadway. And what that's going to do is end up having them buy up a lot more of the small ranches, right? The typical thing that we've seen in the past. So that's some new legislation that's come in. The public, the marketplace, I always say we hold the most power. As the market, the people who are buying it, we hold the most power. So it's really important that people understand how important small ranching is, because I don't have to remind anybody on this in this audience probably that there was a bit of a shortage during COVID, right? We had these massive plants shut down. We really need to decentralize our food system. So when we come back, Dean's going to talk to us a little bit about that, what that full picture looks like inside the world of ranching. So stay tuned. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com, pumpkincreekranchco.com. We'll be right back, everybody, in 1 minute.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
We're back having a great conversation with Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch. Check out their website. They've got some wonderful cuts. You get pure beef with no GMOs, no hormones, no additives, no mRNA vaccines, and no glyphosate. Just bold, award-winning flavor. You get that when you shop with Pumpkin Creek Ranch. Dean, welcome back to Naturally Inspired Radio. I want to know, are tariffs impacting you guys? And if so, how? How are they impacting the beef industry?
Tariffs are not affecting us in any substantial way. The threat of importing some beef from Argentina was enough to send the traders into a tailspin. But the cash price that's being paid at the sale barns after about a month and a half, whatever it was, after Trump made his comments about importing some beef from Argentina, we're back to setting record high prices at the sale barn. So that's the cash price. It's kind of divorced a little bit from the Chicago Board of Trade or the mercantile trade. So yeah, I mean, some of the grains probably would be affected by it. We know that soybeans was, but for cattle, it hasn't affected us. And frankly, one of the main reasons is we are selling calves into a grass market typically they're going to be fed on grass for a long time. And so we've got some insulation, and then the rest of our beef is going direct to the consumer. So we're able to insulate ourselves a little bit from the big swings.
And I think that's amazing, direct to consumer, because we've talked about this before. But really, if you really want to know what's happening with your food, transparency is something that the consumer needs to be looking for, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of people got all bent out of shape and screamed on social media for a while about the crash in prices. But with Trump, you always have to keep in mind that his opening statement on something is just a negotiating position. It's not the end result. So, keep your powder dry.
That's what I say on the show all the time. It's like you have to look at everything from a business standpoint and from a negotiations, and you never know where it's going, so you can't fly off the handle right away. But that's good to know. Why is it important that we keep a decentralized food supply?
Well, the main reason is it's food security. It makes it a more resilient system. You saw you've got Tyson shutting down their Lexington, Nebraska plant. I don't know the exact number. I've seen numbers somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 head per day that they slaughtered there. That's a pretty substantial drop in the overall supply by shutting that plant down. We know just from watching their actions in the past that usually the reasons that they give for why things are being done don't typically end up being the real reason. So I don't know. I don't know. I've seen all kinds of speculation about what was actually going on and why they decided to close that down. But it illustrates the point very, very clearly that when we have so much of our capacity concentrated in a few plants like that, one creates ripples through the entire industry. And, if we've got a small facility in every decent sized town across the U.S. And the supply chain is much shorter, then one closes down. It's not nearly the crisis that the big ones are.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about processing plants and the importance of them.
Well, of course, we in order to be able to sell our beef, we have to send it directly into a USDA inspected plant. And any protein that is being sold directly to the consumer, whether it's through a grocery store or whether it's like we're doing with direct to consumer, you have to have it harvested. The animals have to be slaughtered in a USDA inspected plant. And so that limits us a little bit, and that does serve to constrict or reduce the availability to a certain degree. There's lots of uninspected lockers that will process beef on a custom basis for an individual, and that's got a long history of people selling animals to their neighbors, and then the neighbor takes them and gets them harvested at the small lockers. But really, without a USDA inspected plant, we can't sell. And that's necessary for grocery stores or direct to consumer.
Right. So it's super important, and this is what gives the conglomerates, the big outfits, the edge, because they have processing plants in house. Correct?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And Tyson, it's always about controlling every aspect of that supply chain that you can. And so these big packers, they want to control as much of the process from acquiring the cattle or even raising the cattle on their own, hiring people to feed them out or what have you, all the way up to selling them as close to the end user as they possibly can. You are able to collect a bigger chunk of the overall retail dollar that way. That's the goal. And there's been some attempts to limit how long the packers can own the cattle, how they have to bid on them, how they have to buy the cattle as far as contracts, and they've made some efforts, but because politics is involved, it never really results the way they expect or claim it will.
Yeah. How's the effort for Pumpkin Creek going to build your own processing plant?
Well, so the way we're approaching that plant, we've got back in 2020, we sat down and got it designed, and we got a lot of the permitting done. I believe that was in 22. We've got the USDA signed off on our designs, and we had the local city council give us approval, and we had some tax funding that they had approved for us. and then we've just been trying to find investors. The size of the plant was too big for us to build on our own, and so we intended to build, and still do intend to build, a custom cut plant. It's a smaller plant, smaller facility, approximately 20 head a day, 5 days a week. So we're looking at somewhere around 400 animals per month that would be taken through that facility. That would just be our usage of it would be a small part of its overall capacity. We intend it to be something for the community to really benefit from, and allow other small producers like us to have their own brands. And long term, we really are looking to help others do what we're doing, because
that will really protect our access to beef, because there is some concern that in the future with the whole carbon credit system and the climate change cartel that we might not have access to beef. And so if they have it all centralized, everybody, you're not going to have the freedom to get it. And that's why it's so important that the consumer understand the value of buying direct from rancher. And now this even elevates the mission higher. If you're able to help service other small brands, other small ranchers, then this is true community, right? That's food security. And so it's just a wonderful mission that you're on here. And I really have been praying that you guys get funding for this plant.
It's an ongoing project. We've had lots of conversations, and some of them move the ball a little bit down the road, and then they kind of taper off, and then somebody else steps up. And so we are still actively pursuing investors. It's kind of there's times it gets kind of frustrating, but overall it's a process. And we knew when we started it that we weren't going to be able to finance it on our own. It was going to be a bigger project than we'd be able to do. Neither one of us are independently wealthy. We work for a living. So
What?
yeah. All of those.
I thought everybody
farmers.
on Instagram was a millionaire, Dean.
Yeah. That must be why I'm not there.
Hey, I did see, so this is a family operation, everybody. PumpkinCreekRanchCo.com. They ship all over the place. So head on over there, try their beef pack, try their steak packs. You will not get better flavor. I can attest to that 100%. We love Pumpkin Creek. But I did see on Instagram, Kendra, because I said it's a family operation. So Kendra is Dean's sister-in-law. She is introducing tallow as part of your guys' brand as well, isn't she?
Yeah, we've been selling quite a bit of tallow. It used to be, you remember back in the 80s, and when, maybe I shouldn't date myself that much, when, the low-fat craze, and you'd take animals that had too much fat on them and you get a great big discount. And now tallow is in such huge demand that you almost can't get an animal too fat, because the more tallow they have on them, the more valuable they are. So
that's so exciting, because that's of course what I teach every day to our community, is how we need to go back to fat. And this community really knows and understands the whole diet culture and what that has done to our health, right? With low fat, no fat. It's really easy to overeat on a bag of potato chips, right?
Yeah.
Not so easy to overeat on tallow.
No.
Right?
No.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, you have a good steak with a lot of fat on it, and it's hard to overdo that.
Yeah, but your body needs it and your brain needs it. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with Pumpkin Creek. I know that you guys have gotten out into the community a little bit. You're doing some school talks. What's on the horizon?
Well, Jared did a visit with a bunch of elementary kids down there in Colorado. We've kind of made an agreement. Neither one of us enjoy being the star of the show. So if it's up in the Nebraska area, then I got to take care of those appearances, and Jared does in Colorado. So
nice.
He did one with the school. Yeah. He did one with the grade school, and then I spoke at a career day for high school kids, trying to get them interested in agriculture and a career there.
Amazing. I love what you guys are doing with Pumpkin Creek. If you guys know of anybody who's looking to invest in beef, I think it would be a heck of an investment. That's for sure. We're going to need these small ranchers. Order clean local ranch meats today at pumpkincreekranchco.com. And you can contact us, 720-303-8868, if you want to get in touch with Dean. Thanks so much, Dean.
Thank you.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. NaturallyInspiredRadio.com.